Hey, so I was watching a fun movie the other day, Planet 51, and in there, there's a bunch of really cool characters. One of them is this alien-looking dog, and I thought it would be fun to try to sculpt just even the head in ZBrush and see what would that take. So I grabbed a just a Dynamesh sphere, and using the Move tool. Um, I just made the shape of the head. And keep in mind, one of the things that I like to do when I first do the base shape is in ZBrush, I do like to jump out of the perspective mode just so I'm in the orthographic view and I could see the shape much better without the perspective angle lens, right? So that's what I'm doing here. I just kind of sculpted the base head shape just using the Move tool. Then I grabbed the standard brush, put it in sub mode, and just pushed in the cavity of the mouth. And then you can see me holding down the control key and dragging to re-Dynamesh. Then just using the Move brush, here I'm just adjusting the mouth shape. I grabbed the inflate brush to create sort of the lip of the mouth, and there's many different ways you could do it. You could just use a standard brush with the add mode, or you can grab the inflate brush and inflate kind of like the lip. So there's a couple different methods. To add the cool little wrinkle on his face above the lips, I just used the Damien standard to push in the line and then add it, and then just using a standard brush with an add to make it a little puffy. So I like to jump between using inflate or standard. They sort of achieve the same effect, but it's just fun to use both here and there. Then as I sculpt, a lot of times I go back to the Move brush and do touch-ups of the base shape, and you will see me continuously doing that even as I move on with the character. So here I just applied a different material because I really wanted to get it to look closer to the reference, which is more kind of a gray color. I didn't want to spend more than maybe 20 minutes on just this exercise because I'm not modeling the entire character, nor is this a 3D, 360 view of the character. Just really just exercising just the front sculpt. And for the ears, I just wanted to see if I can grab the clay buildup brush and then turn on sculptures mode to add continuously, keep adding more geometry to the ear as I'm kind of just dragging it on, right? So there's a couple different ways you can add new shapes. You can append shapes, you can add new primitives and just sculpt them and then merge them into the Dynamesh. Or just for fun, if you're just sculpting something organic, sometimes you could just grab a clay buildup and treat it as real clay sculpture where you're just piling up more clay. And sculptures mode allows you to do that infinitely, right? So the resolution of your clay never changes, it just keeps adding more and more. Really cool way to sculpt something that's organic. So this alien has kind of a fun little ears, which I'm just trying to match, just pulling it out. You can see I turn on the AccuCurve mode to get the ears looking a little more pointy. And once I did that, I just used the inflate brush once again to give ear that thick border that the reference has, which is really fun and cartoony, and I just love round shapes that are exaggerated. This character is absolutely great. Whoever designed this for the film is amazing. Alright, here you can see me go into a perspective mode so I can get a better feel for what the shape feels like. So you can see I can quickly get the base down without doing nothing complicated, right? Just pretty much using the standard brush, move brush, and inflate. I really just using this basic 3 brushes to achieve some fun, quick results. For the tongue, I just simply appended a new sphere, and once you append it, it creates a new layer in your subtool. So then you can isolate it, you can sculpt on it, and just using, once again, the inflate brush. With the active symmetry on, you can quickly sculpt the tongue shape pretty much in seconds, and then hold on the shift key to smooth out any kind of a blobby, right, topology that you might get. Again, this entire thing is just still in Dynamesh, which I'm just going to keep it in Dynamesh. Just again, just having fun with clay, really. That's all this is. Next, I thought it would be cool if I could actually assign the gray material to the head, so I could also go to the tongue layer and assign kind of a pinkish orange to that as well, kind of get a better feel for what. None of this is texture, there's no UVs, just polypaint and Dynamesh. Alright, for the tooth I did the same thing. I appended a box, which gave me yet another layer. I was trying to smooth the top of the head, but then I realized I can't be in sculptress mode because it kept dynamically changing the topology, so I had to jump out of the sculptress mode. And then for the tooth again, I just put it in position, just a simple box, and I will use the trim dynamic brush to kind of beat up the tooth and give it a better shape. Here I'm just adjusting the bottom lip. I'm realizing I need a little more space to put the teeth in. It's a little tight in there with the tongue, so I just pushed the lip forward a little bit. Now just turning on the Dynamesh mode, again super low 128, and using the trim dynamic brush to get rid of any sharp edges that resemble a box. You know, just start shaping the tooth a little more to what the reference looks like. And then to get to the back of the tooth, you can just hide your layers, the ones that you're not using, so you can isolate the layer that you're working on. Just a important trick, especially if you're working with multiple subtools. Make sure you take advantage of those layers, just like you do in Photoshop. Here I'm just grabbing the move tool and trying to get rid of those straight lines going down, so give the tooth a little flared effect. Next I grab the move and just simply hold down the control key to duplicate another tooth, and as you're dragging the duplicate, the original automatically gets masked out. So it's a very fast way to quickly create clones of whatever you're working on and keep everything in the same layer, so it's nice and organized. So I love using that, just using the control key and just dragging copies. And because the original is messed out, you can sculpt on your duplicate in real time, which is really cool. Alright, here I was trying to figure out how can I drag the other side. I didn't want to just flip it over, so I used auto groups to assign a different poly group to each tooth. And my intention here was to only grab the first tooth and not grab the rest of them. I don't want all of them. I just want the first one. So then I end up holding Control Shift and clicking, and that gave me the proper masking. And then I could hold on the Control key again and keep duplicating the other side. Alright, so once I drag the last tooth, and just do Control and drag to get rid of all the masking. Next, I thought it would be neat to add a little highlight like a lighter gray highlight on top of this head, just like there is some in the reference. So I'm just simply grabbing the standard brush and changing to lighter gray. And because I painted in the material to the head, right, I can add highlights. So using the RGB mode, you could just fill your object 100%, and then you can change the color and kind of paint highlights. None of this is really usable if you wanted to move this to a texture mode. The only way you could transfer something like this, if you did end up painting your Dynamesh without doing any kind of UVs or any kind of topology, the only way that I know of to transfer your polypaint over to something usable, right? Like let's say you want to merge this and use this as a base for Substance Painter. What you would have to do if you took this approach is just like me, right? You create a high resolution Dynamesh, then you do polypaint, and then what you have to do is you have to take make a copy of the head, create clean topology, do the UVs, and then just simply project your high res Dynamesh onto the clean game topology with the UVs, and the polypaint will just be projected over to the new UVs, and then you can export it out and use it in Substance Painter. So that's the only way I know of how to do that. Normally this is not probably the most efficient workflow. The best workflow if you're going to do this daily is to create clean topology from the beginning with UVs, and then just subdivide it, and then do the sculpting, and then do the painting. But it's not necessary. You could do it this way as well, especially if you're more of a traditional sculpting cowboy kind of thing. You're just having fun, and then later you realize, oh, that would be a fun character to actually use in the game. So, but I don't want to lose all of my poly paint work. So there is a way to project it. So keep that in mind. All right, then I just ended up. I was way too lazy to create custom teeth for the top, so I just duplicated the layer, flipped it, and then using the move tool adjusted the teeth to kind of resemble the reference a little better, even though it's not exact because the number of teeth is a little bit different, but it's close enough for this exercise. Alright, and then I'm just clicking the BPR to have a quick, kind of a cheap render in ZBrush just to see what the final result looks like. You can always go to BPR filters, and one that I love is this number 3. If you turn on the circle and pump up the radius just a little bit, it gives you kind of this cool, sharp effect. And then I went to BPR shadows and just turned down the intensity. And that's pretty much it. You get this really nice preview of what your model looks like with nice dark shadows. So the last thing I wanted to do is just adjust the shape of the bottom teeth. The reference has it a little more round. And there's probably a few more tweaks I would do if I actually ended up using this, or if I wanted to stay even closer to the reference. But this is, again, a fun, quick exercise. I hope you enjoyed it. I really appreciate if you like and subscribe. and have fun ZBrushing. And I'll see you in our next video. Thanks for watching.